Now, I said this last month and I have to say it again. Calgary is the most expensive it has ever been in its history. So let's get into it. Hi, my name's Adam Fyfe, your Calgary Realtor. And if you're a buyer right now, I'm sorry. You do not want to read these reports. If you're a seller right now, you should celebrate because now is the perfect time to sell. For you buyers out there, it is very important that we dive into these numbers. If you want any information, please go ahead and book a call with me. My calendar link is below. Let's go. So let's start in this graph right here and we kind of break it down a little bit. So the red line here is price, and you can see that the price point for the total residential sales of Calgary has reached 550,000. Most expensive it's ever been on paper. You can see that the sales to inventory is getting very tight. If you look at April and May of last year, it was getting larger and larger. Obviously, April was a little bit tighter than May, but right when the interest rate started to turn, it definitely got large. Look at it now. February, March, and April this year have been absolutely insane. Now, hi clients, I have been working with many different people and it is really shitty, to be honest. It is not fun and it is very stressful for a lot of different people. There are a lot of different things going on in the Calgary real estate market right now that is just not very fair for a lot of people that come here, because it was definitely brought up to them that Calgary was very affordable. It's still affordable, I will say that. It is. Even at $550,000 for this graph right here, Calgary is still very much affordable, but it is not as affordable as it was last year or 2 years ago when a lot of these advertisements from the Alberta government was being sent out to the press. Now, this article here shares how the Alberta government actually shared a lot of ad campaigns to Ontario and British Columbia, which was very successful. It was almost too successful because we have so many young people moving here, which is causing a lot of demand in the market and simply not enough listings. So let's dive into it a little deeper. Now let's start this off like usual by looking at the written report from the Calgary Real Estate Board, or CREB. Now, I'm not going to read this in its entirety, so please pause the video. The total unadjusted benchmark price has reached $550,800, nearly 2% higher than last month and a new monthly record for the city. Exactly what I was saying at the beginning. In April, sales reached almost 2,700 units compared to the 3,133 new listings, with a sales to new listing ratio of 86%, which is quite high. Inventories declined by 34% compared to last year and over 45% lower than long-term averages in April. So with that being said, there is a lot of upward pressure on price. If we look at this graph here, which is total residential inventory, I don't usually touch on this much, but it is very important for this video. You can see April 2023, we're at 3,000 leftover homes at the end of the month, which sounds like a lot. But when you start to really think about it, in 2013 and 14, the last time that we actually experienced a boom, you can see that there was still 4,000, almost 5,000 units left over at the end of the month, where right now it's 3,000 units. So there is simply not enough new listings for the amount of buyers in our market, because the Alberta government has done very well, and Calgary in general has done very well at attracting a lot of new young talent to the city, and it's just not holding up. Like, there's just not enough homes on the market to actually meet demands of buyers. So again, I feel very bad for you buyers out there. It's a very intense market. A lot of offers are going in above ask price. So it is very important that you set a plan in place. So let's continue to go down this rabbit hole. So let's continue this on by looking at each individual property type in its entirety. So all quadrants morphed into one. You can see that total residential is actually up 1.2% year over year. Now, what's crazy about this is actually 3 or 6 months, probably 3 months ago, I was warning people, I was starting to give a warning that we might see negative year over year growth because last year was so intense. But this year we are just absolutely flying up the roller coaster. So you can see that detached is up 2%, semi-detached is up 2%, townhouses is up 7.5%, and apartments are up over 10% since last year. So you can see that there is a very large increase in prices all over the city in every single property type. So let's start to break this down. Now, the very first step is just to look at the total residential, which this video is all about. If you want the individual property type, go to my channel. I will be uploading semis, detached, apartments, and townhouses over the next week. So let's start this off. You can see that the sales has up to 2,600. The new listings actually fell from March, which is crazy. The inventory has actually stayed the exact same, which is the first time in my career I've ever seen that. The days on market is 24 days, which is going to quickly decrease more and more and more. The benchmark price has gone from $520 in January all the way up to $550. That's $30,000 for the total residential in Calgary, $30,000 in the first 4 months. You can see that the average price as well has also increased. Now, I do get some questions here about the average and the benchmark price. I will link the attributes for a benchmark home in Calgary, which is a very detailed structure of a home, and that's the benchmark home, where the average price point increases and decreases every single month based off of more expensive homes selling or least expensive homes selling. Average fluctuates a lot, where the benchmark price is a set criteria for an exact home. So the square footage, the unfinished basement, garage, exact everything. That's a benchmark price. Now, I will link it below for the exact description. You can see that $550,000 benchmark price actually outpaced the May highs of last year. I have talked about May highs all year, and you can see that we've actually just blown past it. We were at 541, now we're at 550. So again, Calgary's getting very expensive. So let's start to break this down a little bit more. So this next slide here is the map of Calgary. Now this is total residential, so all property types in that quadrant. You can see that the biggest increase is in East Calgary. Again, going back to my statement that affordable product, obviously the East Calgary is the least expensive at $362, which is still very reasonable for a house, has gone up 5%, where everything else is at or around about 1.5. I mean, realistically, Northwest increased quite a bit, which is still very expensive. The West is increased by 2%, which is also very expensive. City Center is always interesting. You can actually see in the middle there, it's a little bit of a roller coaster. And everything else is increased year over year, where, again, I was talking about last year, looking at negative year over year percentages, but that is just not happening in this market. So let's find out where the demand is. So this chart here is the months of supply. Now, this is showcasing how much demand is in each individual quadrant and each individual property type. So you can see that the most demand right now is actually detached homes in East Calgary, the most affordable home in all of Calgary. You can see that there's a half of months of supply. That means that if no new listings came on the market, it would only take 15 days for all of those homes to sell. If you're looking at selling a detached home in East Calgary, do it if you need to, because at the end of the day, it is very, very hot. City Center, the highest is apartments. There's obviously a lot of apartments in downtown Calgary. You can see that they're over 2 months. Still somewhat in a balanced condition. Clearly, it's a seller's market in its entirety, but there's just so many listings in downtown Calgary for apartments, and you can clearly see that they are increasing in price. The biggest story here is probably townhouses. You can see on the far right row, everything besides City Center is at 1 month of supply or less, meaning that, again, 1 month to clear all inventory. So taking a really good look at this individual chart and then figuring out, okay, are you looking for a semi-detached in North Calgary, which you can see is very hot, or are you looking for as an example, a detached in West Calgary, right? A little bit of a higher price point, but less demand than other places in Calgary. So this is your first step in figuring out where the demand is. So let's keep it going. Now, like usual, for time, I'm not going to read this out, so feel free to pause the video. But what I will say is that if you are looking at actually stepping into the market, you're looking to make a sale, you're looking to invest, or you're looking to buy for your own personal needs, book a call, because at the end of the day, it is so important for you to build a plan. You do not want to just go into the market and just wing it, because you're going to get burnt. You're not going to know what's happening, and everything moves very quickly. I feel very bad for a lot of my buyer clients right now because it is just such a crazy market out there. So put a plan in place, book a call, let me know how I can help. 2 more slides. Now, this graph here is the microeconomic outlook for each individual property type in Calgary. I will break this down in a lot more detail in my upcoming videos, so I'm not going to dive into this in its entirety. Some of the things that I do want to touch on is months of supply. So this row here is the months of supply, and you can see the average for every single property type is under a month and a half, which is very much a seller's market. You can actually see that the average for townhouses is under a month. So if you're looking for a townhouse, be prepared to have a little bit more of an aggressive offer. You can see that there are price increases all over the city. So before we get into the price increases, these are the prices right here for each individual property type in each individual quadrant. There has been price increases year over year in every single quadrant, every single property type, and then month over month. So I will break this down again in a lot more detail in my videos coming up. I'm not going to talk about the numbers because if I talk about the month over month increases, you're not going to watch my property type videos. So make sure to keep an eye out on the channel, and I will touch on them very soon. So I'm going to end it off with this. You can see again, prices are going up. Every personal situation is different. It is a crazy market out there. Setting up a plan well in advance is still very much important. I try my absolute best to break it down and showcase the numbers and then talk to you about a realistic strategy that will find you success. It's very fast moving and it is very hard to make a video explaining what you should do personally. So my advice to you is I don't think these prices are going to go down. I really don't. Unless something major happens in Calgary's economic activity, I just don't see it. You hear about some of the banks closing down, you hear about the US going into the recession, Canada going into the recession. There's just so many people moving here. There's just so many people moving here that even if there is some sort of recession or crash, there are still going to be people waiting for that to drop. And as soon as they start to see some prices drop, it probably will go back up a little bit because people want to buy Calgary real estate. So let me know what I can do to answer your questions and book a call. Let me know how I can help. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It sounds like as realtors, this is exciting. Prices are going up, but I can tell you right now, it's pretty damn stressful. It's a lot of driving. It's a lot of conversations. It's a lot of this. It's a lot of that. It's not overly fun, to be honest, if I'm being honest with you. And it is what it is. So we are going to set up a plan. We're going to make sure that you understand what's going on in its entirety, and we'll help you out from there. So thank you very much. Make sure to subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.